First thing I want to talk about is this goblin face. The goblin's face does not match the body. I know you're trying to go for a goblin face, but there are other ways to do the goblin's face that don't make him look like a tired 50-year-old professor, 60. No ageism here. I'm just being honest. He's got a lot of age in here. Or not even 50 or 60, like 80-year-old professor. It's just something about him just does not look like it matches. So what I'm going to do is get rid of some of that age, the awkward size, because he's really it's just an old man with unbelievably large eyes. So what I want to do is give him more of a Whoville type set of features. And it starts by getting rid of this extremely wide mouth. Yes, it's an ogre, but it shouldn't be to the point where it feels like it's just an old man in a suit. Do you know what I mean? It's just an old man cosplaying. I mean, they specifically handpicked those actors for the hobbits, right? They're grown men. But how did they manage to pick actors? Do you guys ever ask yourself that? How did they manage to pick actors that actually look like hobbits? They look cute, like cute older men. And they're not old. I mean, like, Sean Astin or Elijah Wood weren't extremely old when they did this. They were just adults. But that's kind of what I want to try to do here. So I want to make him look like an adult, but, I mean, if he is supposed to be an adult, without making it look unusual. So really, all I'm doing is just making him look like a hobbit. It's just a green hobbit. Do you see what I'm saying? So before, after. And I'm just making sure that the nose isn't too wide, but it can still be long. And the mouth isn't too wide, but it can still be wide. So there is a margin before you start crossing into uncanny, as I've mentioned a million times before. And so what I'm doing now is I'm just trying to give him that Whoville hobbit type nose. I don't want it to look like a 90s character design. Do you know what I'm saying? They did that. They messed up a lot. They gave everything a realistic feature. Everybody looked like an extremely old actor. I don't know why they did that. You know what I mean? That 90s art look to all of those movies. The Labyrinth and the and Neverending Story that we watched recently. And there's another one that's got horrible, the Glass Crystal. So all of them have really, really weird character design, and it doesn't work anymore because it just looks like a bunch of old men character designs. Do you know what I'm saying? So I'm sorry about my sniffles, by the way, guys. I know I'm not going to be able to edit out every single one. So before, after. Before, after. So they're both looking up at something, and we want to make them both look like they're doing that. The wolf's eyes are very unusual. The wolf's eyes should also have a side view. I mean, that's it. That's all it took. Just make it a V shape. And then the snout, it's looking too human. I think I accidentally lassoed out the nose. Everything else looks okay, I guess. And I'm just giving this wolf the same kind of side view. And less of that head at the top. That rounded head. So before, after, pick a spot and look at it. Before, after. So all the features were sagging down and all of that. So now is for the interesting part. The interesting part would be the placement of these characters in a nighttime scene. So this is going to be tricky because you're not supposed to treat nighttime scenes. You're not supposed to treat nighttime scenes as actual nighttime. You're supposed to actually make them daytime-ish. Am I on grayscale? What the hell's going on? Classic gradient. Basics. What's going on here? Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm trying to basically expand this. Right now your canvas is mega small. So I'm gonna turn it up to 3000 pixels. And what I'm gonna try to do is something pretty crazy. I mean, there is the cop out. I can make the wolf glow and make him silhouetted a little bit. But I don't know if this wolf glows, to be honest. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the light environment. So controversial. I'm going to do something so brave. So brave. And I'm just going to just get rid of this. Wow, I love my smudge brush. I love you, smudge brush. Love you too, Istebrak. And I'm just, I'm just... trying to seam this all. And now what I'm going to do is try to take this entire little sky horizon line, which I don't think is the best way for you to be representing this light environment. I don't think that's the best way for you to be presenting these two characters. It's just really not good movie making, I guess. It's not good framing. It's not good camera work. It's not good photography. It's just, it's not good photography. It's just, there's something about it that just feels like it just feels wrong because you are shooting the most important scene at night. Like, that's just bad camera work. So I'm just going to, now, I'm going to do my little trick by bringing these characters into a cooler range. So I'm going to duplicate, I'm going to lock, I'm going to do that classic trick I do where I take the light environment color on color mode and I wash over the characters with that purple. Now they all look like they're in the same environment as the background. They're in the purple environment. And then I go to darken and I darken them. So now they look like they're in a reasonably dark environment. So everybody's just matching and everybody's feeling good. Everybody's matching each other. So this is where it was before. You can see how they were almost like daytime colors, which doesn't make much sense. And now they look like they're in a nighttime scene. Do you see what I'm saying? So what we have to do next is basically decide who's glowing, who's not glowing, who's sticking out. So I'm just gonna merge down and I'm just gonna mess with the levels a little bit, just so we have a little bit more depth to these levels. And I am so you can bring it, there's so many options. You can bring in a secondary magical light source to make them glow. You can make the one in the background glow a little bit. I'm going to try to lasso him out now. Okay, and so I'm going to just boost his values. And I'm going to just use dodge tool and just make him glow a little bit more, mostly on the outsides. So there's so many options, and what this will do is silhouette our little guy here, and that will so let me see where we're at. That will help us to create a distinction between both characters. Okay, so in a new layer, I'm just bringing in like on a color dodge or something like that with maybe a blue. And I'm just adding this blue color over the wolf. You said he's like a demon wolf. So I'm just trying to give him a glow. Even if the character doesn't glow, who cares? Break the rules a little bit. And make him glow for the sake of the light environment. Because You picked a nighttime scene and he's a magical little wolf dude. So what I'm doing right now is trying to find the best of both worlds that helps both characters emerge. So by default, what happens is this guy starts to pop, and I'm just trying to create that double layer. See that blue layer and then the white layer. It just makes things more interesting. And I'm using that all around as if this wolf is part of the nighttime. And they're both looking forward and they're both friends and everybody's happy. And I'm just gonna grab this like blue color and just try to use it on the wolf, just so the wolf feels like he's iridescent a little bit. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is try to give the wolf some texture, some better texture. So I'm just gonna get soft brush on like 59% on smudge brush, and I'm just trying to make it so that this wolf's fur is just a little bit more fuzzy. And I'm just creating like these familiar textures. I don't think we'd see the other ear, honestly. I don't think it'd be there. So I'm just gonna get rid of it, or maybe do it in such a way that will look a bit better without cutting off too much. And I'm just taking my smudge brush and just jittering it along the sides and just trying to create a more interesting pattern for the texture. I know there's a third eye in there. I must have lost it. I'll try to bring that back if I can. And I'm just gonna use any nearby color to give this wolf some more detail. So just kind of giving him a bit more of that eye shape. I'm going to give him the demon eyes, which is like black whites of the eyes, white irises. You guys know what I mean. And then I'm going to just try to get the nose to make sense somehow. And then maybe just like adding a bit more like fur that's flowing in the wind, just so we can bring in some atmospheric element and giving him more of a mane, and then just dropping that in there. And just kind of trying to make it look a little bit more just alive, just with something that makes it feel like there's wind and breeze in this beautiful nighttime scene. I'm just trying to match all those together. And then I'm going to look at this guy. And so this guy, he's still got his lines. There's lines still. Where is this? Oh, it's the glow. Right, because I haven't separated the layers. So I'm just going to what do I do for this? I should probably separate the goblin, so I'll do that really quickly. And then the goblin scarf could also glow a little bit. That would be interesting. And not glow, like sorry, I was thinking about the subsurface I'll add as well. It could And I'm just going to do this stuff to it. And I'm just, again, making the mane feel a little bit more full. Then I'm going to put this guy in front of all of this, turn him back on, and just try to correct what I did with all of these layers, which is just getting rid of whatever that glow is that I added. So I'm just kind of making the fur feel more organic and less lassoed. And I'm just using my eraser to kind of get some texture out. And soon everything will get balanced together. I want to make some stuff look a little bit more painterly. And both their expressions are actually pretty, or their gestures are pretty boring. So I'm going to grab this wolf's head and I'm going to just, yeah, what am I doing with this head? I'm just going to make it point up a little higher. So there's a lot of stuff that was, you know, the more I'm lassoing, the more surgery I'm doing, the more mistakes that were made, the more things that were neglected. And I'm just going to merge down and liquefy the rest. And I am just tucking in the back of the wolf so it just feels more wolf-like. And I'm just trying to get rid of all this extra biz you have here. I'm sure you can bring back that other eye I lost. I'm also going to try to kind of like just add more of that fuzz everywhere. So I'm just jittering my smudge brush to get rid of some of these really dirty brush strokes. I'm not trying to blur everything, but I'm just trying to give him more of an ethereal look. And you see him tilting his head up like that might seem a bit better. And then all this just gets shifted this way so that we have a nice framing around this guy. And then I am going to, maybe I can just enlarge these two elements here. And then I'm going to expand this, give him a bit more junk in the trunk. And okay, so the main structural stuff is done. The composition feels a little bit more clear, as well as the light environment feels a little bit better as well, because it doesn't feel like all the colors aren't matching and all the characters look off. So what I'm going to do now is just clean up around the goblin a little bit more. So now for the goblin. The goblin is more of an interesting character than the wolf, just because he has a human face. He's in the frontmost position on the canvas, and he has the most detail. And so I'm just trying to get rid of all these cheesy lines that are kind of limiting the realism a great deal. And I just want to make him look like, you know, give him bigger eyes and make him look like he's looking at a particular thing in the foreground somewhere. Just make his face a little bit more open and his expression more soft. And then just getting rid of all those extra wrinkles everywhere that made him look uncanny and like an old man. Yes, he's an ogre, but he's not, or troll or goblin, what was it? But he's not an old ogre or goblin. And I am just adding a bit of value here. Use less lines for wrinkles and more edges, because that will make your characters look less old. Sometimes you have to draw ugly goblins, but they don't have to be uncanny ugly goblins. Do you see what I'm saying? And I'm just gonna give him that kind of relaxed look. And give him a nostril hole. And try to give him more of a smile. And then try to create a more kind of detailed profile edge. So just deleting those, try to clean up the edge, as you can see. So now that I did that, I can mess around with a bit of subsurface scattering on the tip of his nose, the tip of his ears, which are just outline drawings right now. They need to be more of a structural thing, I guess, and no outlines, just the structure of the ear, which is a bunch of cylinders wrapping around each other or something like that. And then I'm going to get Dodge tool on max and just try to use some of the Dodge tool's power to create some rim light around this guy. And it would be pretty much everywhere. I've got this maxed out, so this is really weird why why Dodge tool isn't really doing as much work as it should. And I'm just picking some spots to add that rim light in. Maybe I can try it with white pencil instead. Pencil brush on white. Color dodge maybe. And I'm just trying to do the same thing I did everywhere. And then now I'm just gonna give the scarf some extra stuff. Look. Just some extra detail. And then just also let the scarf kind of be see-through behind the wolf. Or in front of the wolf. Okay, so I'm gonna keep going with that rim light and let me save. Might be a good idea to save. And wow, everything sucks right now. Nothing is working right. All right, so then I'm just gonna add a bit more of that rim light, just anywhere really, anything to kind of wake the scene up with some saturation and exposure. And some more over here. Okay, and then things look pretty clean right now, but I still want to keep pushing. So just jumping between color dodge and just a normal brush on paint, just so I can get that layered light effect look. Okay, so things are pretty okay right now with this wolf, but what I want to do is I don't want the wolf to feel too bright too soon. I want to pick where he's actually brightest, and I want to darken this goblin a little bit as well. And I kind of want to double the goblin and just raise the exposure like crazy. Raise the saturation like crazy. And I want to delete away at wherever I have the actual silhouette. So I'm going to delete away at the most opaque parts, leading my way out into the edges. So you get more of that kind of double layer look too. You get this extra bit of volume, almost like a universal subsurface scattering. And it just gives you extra dimension, extra color where you feel like you may have lost a lot in the silhouette. The silhouette, you can get a lot of that back by adding that extra bit of depth to the edges. And I just want to make sure the face isn't too distorted. So that's somewhere I wouldn't add too much. Okay, so now we go back to the wolf, and I also want to darken him. But I'll saturate him wherever I'm losing darkness, so that when I do use dodge tool, it's going to be a big deal. And I can get dodge tool on any one of these crazy textured brushes. Ooh, that's way too much. And just like add it in layers. And add it in like these kind of, see, this brush isn't great on dodge tool, but I love the texture. And kind of just give the wolf a little bit more of a speckled, it's not so much that I'm trying to add texture, I'm just trying to add a level of variation on the inside. And then I'm gonna do the same thing just so that we have some like interesting brush strokes on this guy. And then I'm just gonna do as I usually do, which is grab it, go to the before when I did that, and is it this one or this one? Yes, it's this one. Okay, and paste it. And then again, just like I did before, delete at wherever I want things to kind of stay dark. So we have this border of iridescence everywhere in certain areas and around the edges. And then this extra blue layer, where is it? You could really double that and you get kind of like this effect. It just looks very night-like and very pretty. And then right behind the ogre, I'm just gonna add a little bit of a glow. It's gonna be like a pure white glow. It could be more of the same blue on like a color dodge or something. Maybe I'll just leave it as white. Let me just leave it as white for now. And it's going to be right behind this guy. So none of this stuff is actually happening. But the romance of the scene, and by romance I don't mean love, I mean the glowing poetry, blurry-eyed wonder of everything imaginative. That's what I mean by romance. The poetry of it all is now working in our favor because it is inciting that feeling in the audience. And so I'm gonna add in some last minute little points where the rim light sneaks in behind fabric, sneaks in here and there, sneaks in at the top of the ears, a little bit on the top of this nostril, a little bit in between the scarf folds, just like that. Top of the belt. I already did the arm. And this thing, I don't know what this hat is called. Does anyone know what this type of hat is called? I've always struggled with it. It's got to have a name. There has to be a name for this hat. Don't say Russian hat. Because I don't think it's a Russian hat. I don't think it's specifically Russian. Alright, so I'm just going to zoom out. And I still feel uncomfortable with this goblin's face, like this jawline right here is just too much. What's going on? Why aren't you letting me? Okay. And the width of the mouth is still a bit much. The expression is still, it doesn't really work. So I'm just gonna keep kind of liquefying. And a lot of you are really curious about my use of liquefy. Like, you guys are mesmerized by it. I mean, like, what do you guys do that liquefy fails you so much? But this is my size. I don't mess with any settings. Only thing I've increased is density, but I think that got defaulted. The only thing I change is size. I just do movements in specific ways where I don't try to do all the movements all at once. I do the movements in pieces. I think what you guys are doing is you're moving all of it at once, which is, I think, why y'all are failing at liquefy. Aviator hat, trapper hat. I guess that makes sense. Aviator, yeah, aviator seems to work. I've seen that before. So this aviator hat right here, okay, y'all? So now what I want to do is just add more atmospheric elements of some kind. Anything really, anything works. There's this, there's this, there's this. So I'm just gonna try to reduce that glow over here and just try to seam it. And then there's something that is really, really cool when they do it, and that happens a lot in anime. They just make the ground glow. They just kind of give the ground some glowing elements. So I don't know why gradient sucks now. How is this classic gradient? Because where's my old ass gradient? Where's gradient of the past? Oh, forget it. So what I want to do is just grab like this color, or even maybe more of that blue. I actually like the purple, never mind. And I'm gonna make the ground glow. I'm gonna make it have like this glow, and then I'm gonna throw in some grass, some flowers, maybe some glowing night flowers, and that should be it. I'm just gonna pick any color for now, and I just want to scroll through the colors and pick something that works. The blue is just beautiful, so I'm just gonna pick that because it matches so beautifully. And then I'm gonna get like a sky blue and double layer it and just make the ground glow on like this extra level. And it just feels like a very starry sky. The more blue you add, the more to the scene, the more nighttime it feels. And then I can add some grass that is just chilling in the foreground. And oops, I need to make it look like grass that is not attached to the bottom of the canvas. We're zooming. We can't see their feet, so we can't see grass that looks like it's too short. And maybe it's just a whole field of grass, but it's got to look like we're looking at the tips of the grass. Oh, and I'd like to remind you guys that Palestinian people are still starving, and they're still being oppressed, and the genocide is still happening. So please donate, do what you can, spread awareness, share the stories whenever you can, wherever you can. It changes a lot more than we imagine, I believe. And I don't know, pray if you pray. Do affirmations and positive thoughts. If you do, send them strength. I don't know anymore. Don't ask me, because I'm confused right now about it all. But the least we can do is just try to have faith in something that will change. And if you don't like what I just said, buddy, don't follow me. Don't watch what I do. Don't listen to my classes. There are other teachers in the world. Nobody does it like I do, though, so good luck. But yeah, go have fun out there if you don't like what I'm saying right now. And I'm just gonna add smaller pieces of grass here and there. I'm going to add more grass around the goblin because he's kind of like standing in the grass, pushing it aside. And I'm just gonna blur some of the grass in the foreground. So like the biggest ones in the foreground get a filter, blur, Gaussian blur. And those are like a lens blur. I'm sure there's a lens blur filter. Okay, I guess Photoshop is crashing now. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay. Everything is against me today. So there's that blur. And then the ones that are not directly back there get a bit of a blur as well. Not too much. I don't want it to be a sharp lasso edge. Blur, Gaussian blur. They just get a less degree. Okay, and then just to break up the scene, I'm going to put in some fireflies, and that should bring in some warmth. I love fireflies. It's my favorite part of summertime. And I'm just going to add, they have these like little bioluminescent glows that seem like they're almost green in the darkness. And this beautiful scene will be complete. So I'm just gonna add those in, and they do these cute little movements that okay, so first I think I would like to blur, Gaussian blur a little bit, and then I'd like to just edit the firefly as a touch. I don't want it to look like embers, but oh wells. We do need something that is breaking up the color, so this should be interesting. And then I do outer glow. This is how I do all of this stuff. And I do the spread. I do the opacity. I put this on normal. I do the size. And then I pick the color. And usually the yellow will work just fine for fireflies. These ones aren't really doing much in front of the dudes, so I'm just adding them over here. Okay, so other things that I want to fix, they have to do with this guy. I'm not sure what it is I want to fix about him. The grass looks a little sparse, so I'd like to duplicate it, flip it horizontally, and just shift over, just so things look, things look a little bit more lush in that general area. And then, and then duplicate it again and just shift it over just like that, just to save time. Obviously, if you have time, bloody draw another set of grass blades, man. Don't be lazy. Come on now. Where'd you learn that? Where'd you learn being so lazy? Where'd you learn all those shortcuts to laziness? Shame. For shame. Okay, and then I'm just gonna do this over here. And the last thing is the wolf. It's still bothering me. That texture just doesn't seem wolfy enough. I'd like to make it a little bit, I was born this way. And I'm gonna just try. I'm gonna try with the time I have left, which I'm already over time, so I don't know what I'm talking about. 6:30. and I'm just adding a bit more of whatever this is to the little wolf, little big wolf. And I wish I could do more work on the wolf. I feel like he needs a lot more of something. I don't quite get it yet. I don't know what it is, but he needs it ASAP. Something about his fur just feels wrong. don't know what it is, but I think it's just the lack of contrast where we need it. It kind of just looks like a ball of the cotton swabs you use when you get hurt. So I think I may have overdone the... may have overdone all of that stuff. Oh, I never merged down. What a dingus I am. Merge down. And I'm just grabbing any blue nearby. And just trying to give this wolf some characterization, some contrast. And then I'm going to get smudge tool the same way as before on soft brush. And I'm just going to try to jiggle all of this fur and just keep it jiggling. Okay. Before, after. So you can see how his features weren't really reading as Hobbit features. And the reason why it needs to read as Hobbit features is you can make a non-traditionally beautiful male, non-child beauty male character that is also Goblin, which is on the uglier side of the caricature spectrum, without making him look like an old man. So you can still do it. And this is a very 90s way of designing characters where everybody looked like an 80-year-old woman. All the characters from Dark Crystal or The Labyrinth or Neverending Story, all those animatronics and all those shows and all the puppets, they all looked the same, which was this style. So don't reference 90s movies or 80s movies for character design. Okay, find the newer stuff because the older stuff has a particular look. It's uncanny. It's got an uncanniness to it. And after we have an ogre very clearly, or troll or whatever, goblin, but we don't have it in such a way that is uncanny or hard to look at it, or it looks like an old man in cosplay. Nothing's wrong with this old man. I wish I had a grandpa. I wish I had a grandpa that would cosplay with me, okay? I don't cosplay, but I would totally cosplay with a grandpa if I had one. I'm not trying to insult old people. I'm just saying it didn't look right. The grass at the bottom isn't connected to the ground. It's off screen is where it connects to the ground. And then there's the fireflies to bring in a change of color. So before, it was kind of dark and you had daytime values that were darkened, but that's not how you do it. You cool them down with the color wash. And you're actually painting daytime value for nighttime scenes in paintings. You cannot get away with nighttime values because that's not the way to do it. Nighttime values is just dark. Nothing's visible. It's a little bit of rim light and that's it. So we can't do that in paintings because we can't just have a black canvas. So we use daytime values, but the reason why it looks like nighttime is because of all the blue. And now the stars are popping a little bit more. The scene feels a little bit more dreamlike and realistic. And it's just a really beautiful scene in that it has a lot of the same repetitive stuff we like to see in romantic scenes. Again, romantic not in the sense of it's romantic because two characters are in love. It's romantic because it's glowy and they're talking about their dreams and whether or not they're going to get what they want. Wonder what people in the future are going to think about today's common style. Yeah, they're probably going to think it's weird. You made it, Ista. Have a pillow. It's like a butler coming over and he's like, "Ma'am, can I interest you in a pillow to scream in?" "Why, yes, thank you so much." I just scream in it and give it back to him and he's like, "Wonderful." Having the wolf sit might be better as a composition. At that point, I don't really know. At that point, it really is just up to the artist. But please have faith in nighttime scenes. Make sure you guys are using saturation to make up for all the loss, and use silhouettes to your advantage. It's not about darkening the whole scene. It's just about light behind an object. Maybe you didn't want this wolf to glow. Maybe you wanted this wolf to do something else, but I had to pick something. So you can make the background brighter and make both of them have a silhouette. But I had to make a choice in order to execute a critique. I feel like I made a choice that I can work with. Thank you guys for watching. I was going to critique another piece today, but I don't have that kind of time or patience or sanity, unfortunately. I do not have any sanity. I need to go back to the sanity fountain and re-up on my sanity because I am done. I'm going to be gone for about a week. I'm just taking a bit of a break. As you can see, I am in desperate need of one. But I will be back next time on the 16th at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you all for your support and love. And once again, Free Palestine, please support and share their stories. Hopefully something in the future changes soon. Bye, guys.